good to see the ball go through the net. But I think, every game, regardless, you're making shots, you're not, it feels really, really good to have your teammates behind you.
There's a certain magic in basketball that hits you in the chest when the ball drops cleanly through the hoop. That sound, that instant of perfection, it's more than just points on a scoreboard. It's affirmation energy, a pulse of life that courses through every player on the court. For Lexie Hull, that feeling has always been sacred. Yet, even with countless game-winning shots and college championships behind her, nothing could have prepared her for the storm that was about to hit the Indiana Fever. Lexie's rise at Stanford was meteoric. Every opponent knew her name. She dominated the court with a blend of fearlessness and poise rarely seen, a mix of precision and fire that made her unstoppable. Winning a national championship wasn't just a milestone. It was proof of her relentless dedication, the sweat, the sacrifices, the hours nobody ever sees. And then came the WNBA draft. The Indiana Fever selected her 6th overall. Expectations were monumental, but so was belief. The organization saw not just potential, but an unmistakable spark. Someone who could change the very atmosphere of a team trapped in years of mediocrity. But professional basketball is an entirely different universe. The speed, strength, and intensity aren't just physical. They're mental. Confidence is fragile, and the margin for error is razor thin. Suddenly, Lexie found herself riding the bench more often than playing time. The cheers she had grown used to at Stanford turned into hollow echoes, whispers that gnawed at her mind. Every game she sat, every second missed, chipped away at the confidence that had once been unshakable. Yet, Hull wasn't alone in facing the harsh reality of professional sports. Every rookie, every veteran, had once been the star in college. The WNBA doesn't just test skill. It tests identity, resilience, and the willingness to fight for relevance in a league brimming with talent. And the Indiana Fever's environment amplified every struggle. Years of losing had morphed into a culture of quiet resignation. Accountability was scarce, hope was fragile, and the team's spirit had been dulled by repeated defeats. Then came Caitlyn Clark, a force unlike anything the Fever had ever seen. Her arrival wasn't merely a signing, it was a seismic shift. Crowds swelled, cameras followed, and suddenly, the team was thrust under a glare of expectation that could have crushed any ordinary player. But Clark wasn't ordinary. Her intensity wasn't performative, it was elemental. She carried the fire of Iowa's legacy straight into the Fever's locker room, and with her presence came a single, unyielding demand: excellence. For Lexie, that first practice with Clark was electrifying, almost terrifying. The ball went through the net, yes, but it was the energy, the expectation, the silent challenge that truly landed. This wasn't about scoring points. It was about transformation. And Lexie knew, in that heartbeat, that everything was about to change. Her career, her mindset, her very identity on the court. Stepping into the Indiana Fever's locker room that first day with Caitlyn Clark was like walking into a pressure cooker. The air was thick, heavy with unspoken doubts, lingering frustration, and a weight that had been building for years. For the veterans, it was déjà vu, a reminder of seasons lost, opportunities wasted, and the quiet erosion of belief. For rookies like Lexie Hull, it was a baptism by fire. Every player carried their own scars, missed shots, broken confidence, and the gnawing fear that talent alone might not be enough to survive. And then Clark arrived, not with fanfare, not with hollow promises, but with a presence that demanded attention. It wasn't arrogance, it was gravity. Every pass, every step, every glance seemed to whisper, "You are accountable. You are here to rise, or you will fall." The tension was immediate. Practices became a battlefield of standards. Mistakes weren't ignored. They were magnified, dissected, and challenged. The energy Clark radiated was almost tangible, a force that could ignite some and intimidate others. During one early practice, that energy collided with the team's reality. Turnovers mounted. Missed assignments piled up. Frustration reached a boiling point. Clark, sharp and unrelenting, stopped the drill. Silence fell across the gym. No pep talk followed. This was different. She confronted several veteran players, her words raw, cutting, and precise. Every syllable exposed cracks that had been festering under the surface for years. The room felt electric, each player caught between fear, respect, and the undeniable realization that the culture of complacency had just met its reckoning. The coaching staff found themselves in uncharted territory. Here was Rookie, a high-profile newcomer, challenging the very hierarchy and unspoken rules of the team. Some whispered about trying to rein her in, to temper the storm before it became chaos. But deep down, they understood something critical. This wasn't destruction. It was the beginning of transformation. The fever had been stagnant for too long, and Clark's intensity was the spark they desperately needed. Lexie Hull watched it all unfold with a mix of awe and fear. The fire that intimidated sparked something inside her. This wasn't a moment to shrink or blend into the background. It was a call to rise. Lexi began staying late after practice, running extra drills, pushing past exhaustion, challenging the doubts that had haunted her since the WNBA bench. Clark's intensity became a mirror, reflecting what Lexi had almost forgotten she was capable of: focus, precision, resilience, and an unyielding hunger to compete. What began as tension gradually morphed into chemistry. Each confrontation, each challenge, became a stepping stone toward trust. Clark's court vision met Lexi's renewed hustle with uncanny timing. The ball flowed in ways that defied logic, yet somehow perfectly embodied their shared determination. And while the rest of the league saw Rookie dominating headlines, the real story was quietly unfolding inside the Fever's locker room. A transformation born of fire, sweat, and an unshakable refusal to accept anything less than greatness. For Lexie Hull, the early WNBA days had been a humbling storm. From dominating college courts to battling limited minutes on the professional stage, every day had tested her resolve. Confidence, once a constant companion, had been replaced by whispers of doubt. But with Caitlyn Clark's arrival, a new rhythm began to emerge, a rhythm that demanded everything Lexi had buried inside. The turning point was subtle at first. After one particularly grueling practice, Lexi found herself lingering on the court, alone, running extra drills. Sweat drenched her jersey, muscles screamed in protest. Yet there was a quiet exhilaration in the challenge. Clark, ever relentless, stayed alongside her. Every precision pass Clark sent across the court was a challenge and an invitation. Match this. Push harder. Rise higher. Lexi felt a spark she hadn't realized had dimmed, a fire reigniting in the depths of her competitive soul. This wasn't just about physical effort. The WNBA is as much a mental battlefield as it is a display of athleticism. Every miss, every lost possession, every criticism from media or fans could weigh down a player. For Lexi, the mental struggle was grueling. Early mornings were spent in film rooms, analyzing plays, memorizing tendencies, finding every edge. Late nights were filled with drills designed to refine every cut, every shot, every defensive rotation. Fatigue became a constant companion, yet it was no longer a deterrent. Instead, it became fuel. The fire Clark had ignited demanded endurance, resilience, and a belief in oneself that could withstand the world's scrutiny. In tandem, Lexi began noticing subtler shifts in the Fever's dynamics. The team's cohesion, once fragile, strengthened with every practice. Lexi started reading Clark's instincts like a second language. The passes that once seemed impossible became opportunities she anticipated and executed with precision. Every successful completion reinforced trust, both in Clark and in her own reborn abilities. What had started as tension now became a synchronized dance, two distinct energies converging into one unstoppable force. Yet adversity wasn't done with Lexi. A nagging injury sidelined her at a critical moment, forcing her to watch from the bench as her team carried on. The frustration could have been crushing, but she chose differently. Instead of retreating into despair, Lexi embraced a new perspective. She studied plays from the sidelines, observed how teammates communicated, and understood where she could re-enter the court stronger than ever. When she returned, it wasn't just with physical readiness. It was with sharpened mental acuity, confidence, and a sense of purpose that radiated on every play. Clark's presence amplified every triumph. Together, they were more than talent. They were the heartbeat of a team rediscovering its identity. What began as an uphill struggle transformed into a story of resurgence, trust, and sheer determination. Lexi's comeback was no longer about individual glory. It was about shared strength, proving that resilience isn't inherited. It's forged in fire, sweat, and unwavering belief. Once Lexie Hull began to rise from the shadows, something extraordinary started to unfold on the court. What had been a team struggling under years of mediocrity began to pulse with energy, precision, and an undeniable hunger. At the heart of this transformation was the burgeoning chemistry between Lexi and Caitlyn Clark. It wasn't flashy or rehearsed, it was instinctual, raw, and electric. Every pass Caitlyn threaded through defenders met Lexi in stride. Every cut Lexi made perfectly timed to anticipate Caitlyn's vision. It was as if two halves of the same heartbeat had finally found rhythm. This newfound synergy was more than technical skill. It was trust, the kind of trust that is forged through confrontation, challenge, and shared sacrifice. Every intense practice, every moment of tension, every late-night drill had chipped away at doubts and replaced them with confidence. Teammates began to notice the shift. The energy on the court was contagious. Plays that once seemed impossible became achievable. The ball moved faster, rotation sharpened, and each possession carried a newfound urgency. The Fever were no longer a team waiting for sparks. They were creating them. Clark's presence also ignited a fire in every corner of the roster. Veterans like Kelsey Mitchell started sprinting the court with renewed purpose, understanding that every play mattered. Bench players, once overlooked, discovered a renewed drive to prove themselves. Lexi's resurgence, fueled by Clark's intensity, became a beacon for everyone around her. The combination of Clark's vision and Lexi's execution transformed offense into art, fluid, precise, and intimidating. Opponents struggled to keep up, caught off guard by the speed, sharpness, and almost telepathic connection between the duo. But it wasn't just about offensive firepower. Their chemistry reshaped the team's mentality. Mistakes were no longer fatal. They were opportunities to learn and adapt. Communication became sharper, accountability was embraced, and resilience became the defining characteristic of the Fever. Lexi's voice grew louder in the locker room, guiding, encouraging, and holding everyone to a higher standard. Together, Clark and Hull redefined what it meant to lead, not through speeches, but through action, presence, and unwavering intensity. Fans began noticing the transformation too. Arenas filled faster, social media buzzed, and the Fever were suddenly a team to watch, not just for Caitlyn Clark's brilliance, but for a roster that moved as one. What had started as a rocky, tension-filled season evolved into a story of collaboration, mutual growth, and a shared vision. The Indiana Fever were no longer a team on the brink. They were a force rising, one electrifying play at a time, led by the quiet storm of resilience and chemistry between two extraordinary athletes. Just when it seemed the Indiana Fever had found their rhythm, the real test began. The WNBA is unforgiving. Every player is under the microscope, every play dissected, every misstep amplified. For Lexie Hull and Caitlyn Clark, the stakes had never been higher. Their partnership had reshaped the team, electrifying the court with chemistry and trust. But it also drew an intense spotlight that could burn just as quickly as it illuminated. Injuries struck first. Lexi suffered a nagging strain that forced her off the court at a critical juncture. Every practice missed, every game watched from the sidelines, was a test of patience and mental fortitude. She felt the familiar gnaw of doubt, the fear that her resurgence might stall. Yet, rather than crumble, Lexi studied. She watched film, analyzed every pass and rotation, absorbed the subtle communication patterns of teammates, and internalized lessons that would make her comeback stronger and sharper. Caitlyn, too, was no stranger to pressure. The weight on her shoulders extended far beyond the court. She wasn't just a rising star. She was the focal point of the franchise's hopes, the face of a team hungry for relevance, and the target of relentless media scrutiny. Every hard foul, every aggressive defender, every opponent trying to test her limits became an obstacle not just to her skill, but to her mental resilience. Yet Clark refused to falter. She showed up to every practice, even when sidelined, offering guidance, encouragement, and leadership that reminded everyone what it meant to give their all. The media frenzy intensified as the Fever started winning. Lexi, newly revitalized, faced criticism magnified by the glare of Clark's spotlight. Every mistake, every missed shot was analyzed, debated, and broadcasted. Fans and analysts often forgot that these were real people, athletes carrying the weight of expectation. The noise was deafening, yet Lexi began to channel it. She transformed scrutiny into motivation, pressure into performance. Each day became a test of endurance, a lesson in resilience, and an opportunity to grow beyond the fear of failure. Together, Lexi and Clark became anchors for each other and the team. When Clark faced physical aggression from opponents, Lexi was instantly at her side, protective and unyielding. Their bond communicated an unspoken message to the rest of the Fever. An attack on one was an attack on all. This unity transformed the team's identity. They were no longer fragmented or reactive. They were cohesive, fierce, and relentless. The challenges of injuries, media scrutiny, and physical confrontation became fuel for the Fever's collective fire. By facing adversity together, Lexi and Caitlyn redefined resilience for the entire team. Their struggles off the court translated into strength on it, teaching every teammate that greatness isn't measured by ease, but by how one rises when tested. Every setback became a lesson, every obstacle an opportunity, and every moment of pressure a chance to prove that the Indiana Fever were no longer just a team. They were a force to be reckoned with. The true magic of the Indiana Fever's season didn't come from a single player's talent. It came from the transformation that began in the locker room and flowed seamlessly onto the court. Caitlyn Clark and Lexie Hull weren't just athletes anymore. They had become the heartbeat of a team rediscovering its soul. Their partnership proved that leadership isn't measured in points or highlight reels. It's measured in presence, energy, and the ability to inspire those around you to rise higher than they ever thought possible. Lexi's growth became emblematic of the team's transformation. No longer just a promising player, she evolved into a leader by example. She stayed late, worked harder, and pushed herself in ways that inspired every teammate to match her intensity. Her comeback was visible not just in her stats, but in her confidence, in her voice on the floor, in her willingness to hold herself and others accountable. Lexi's journey reminded everyone that resilience is cultivated, not gifted. Every setback, every benching, every injury had forged her into a player capable of not just surviving the WNBA, but thriving in it. Caitlyn Clark's influence extended far beyond her incredible skill set. Her intensity, her unwavering standards, and her silent yet commanding presence created a culture that demanded excellence without resorting to empty slogans. Every missed rotation, every sloppy pass, every lapse in effort was met not with fear, but with the expectation to do better. Her approach was direct, challenging, and sometimes uncomfortable, but it sparked growth. Veterans embraced the challenge, rookies learned quickly, and the bench players found themselves stepping up, realizing that the success of the team required collective effort, not just individual brilliance. The chemistry between Clark and Hull became the blueprint for the entire Fever. Practices were sharper, communication louder, and execution more precise. The ball moved with purpose, each play a reflection of trust and preparation. Mistakes were no longer crushing. They were opportunities to learn. Each teammate, inspired by Lexi and Caitlyn, began pushing harder, thinking smarter, and believing in the collective power of the group. Slowly but surely, the team transformed from a roster defined by inconsistency into a unified force with a championship mindset. The Fever's transformation was visible in games and beyond. Crowds filled arenas, social media buzzed with excitement, and the league took notice. Yet the most impressive changes were unseen. The bonds forged in sweat-soaked gyms, the trust built through confrontation and shared struggle, the resilience honed under relentless pressure. Lexi and Caitlyn taught that success isn't about individual fame. It's about shared determination, unwavering belief, and the courage to rise together. By the season's peak, the Indiana Fever were no longer a struggling franchise. They were a symbol of transformation, unity, and leadership. Lexie Hull's resurgence and Caitlyn Clark's indomitable presence proved that adversity can forge greatness, that pressure can fuel excellence, and that a team willing to rise together can become unstoppable. The story of their season isn't just about basketball. It's about resilience, trust, and the extraordinary power of two determined women changing the destiny of an entire team. The journey of Lexie Hull and Caitlyn Clark isn't just a story about basketball. It's a story about human resilience, leadership, and the transformative power of belief. For viewers, there's a lesson in every pass, every shot, and every challenge they overcame. At its core, their story proves that greatness doesn't arrive fully formed. It's forged through trials, setbacks, and the relentless pursuit of improvement. Lexie's resurgence reminds us that setbacks are never the end of the story. From the bench to injury, from self-doubt to public scrutiny, she faced obstacles that could have ended her career. Instead, she chose to rise, to embrace discomfort, and to channel pressure into fuel. Her journey teaches viewers that resilience is built quietly, in the unseen moments of hard work and self-reflection, and that every challenge is an opportunity to redefine oneself. Caitlyn Clark's impact adds another dimension. She demonstrates that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice or the most celebrated player. It's about presence, energy, and raising the standards of those around you. She challenged the status quo, confronted complacency, and held every teammate accountable, all while carrying the weight of expectation and fame. Her example shows that true leaders inspire through action, integrity, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Together, Lexie and Clark teach a powerful lesson in collaboration. Individual talent is impressive, but shared trust, chemistry, and mutual respect amplify it to extraordinary levels. The Indiana Fever's transformation is proof that when people rise together, they can overcome adversity, rewrite culture, and achieve more than they ever thought possible. Their story transcends sports. It's about life, resilience, and the courage to confront your limits head-on. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. Embrace challenge, support those around you, and never let fear or failure define your journey. Whether in sports, career, or personal growth, the principles remain the same. Hard work, trust, and accountability aren't just strategies. They're the foundation for lasting success. Lexie and Caitlyn didn't just win games. They reshaped an entire environment, proving that resilience, collaboration, and relentless determination can transform even the toughest circumstances into triumphs. The Indiana Fever story this season is more than statistics, scores, or highlight reels. It's a testament to the power of perseverance, trust, and leadership. Lexie Hull's journey from doubt to resurgence, paired with Caitlyn Clark's unyielding presence, shows how adversity can become the catalyst for extraordinary growth. Together, they transformed a struggling team into a cohesive, disciplined, and fearless unit. As fans, we often focus on the final score or the most spectacular plays. But the true story lies in the moments that aren't captured on camera. The extra hours spent in gyms, the late-night film sessions, the conversations that inspire courage and belief, and the unspoken bond that drives teammates to push harder for each other. That's the heartbeat of true champions. The Fever's transformation is also a reminder of the broader lessons sports teach us. Leadership is as much about empathy and guidance as it is about skill. Confidence grows when challenged, not coddled. And perhaps most importantly, success is sweetest when it's shared. Lexie and Caitlyn didn't just build a partnership. They created a culture of excellence, resilience, and trust that elevated everyone around them. As the season continues, the Indiana Fever are no longer just a team. They are a symbol of possibility. Their story proves that challenges can become opportunities, pressure can become purpose, and adversity can forge strength. For viewers, the takeaway is universal. Greatness isn't a solitary pursuit. It's the courage to rise, the commitment to each other, and the belief that together anything is possible. So as the crowd cheers, the spotlight blazes, and the games unfold, remember, This isn't just basketball. This is a story of transformation, trust, and triumph. And for Lexie Hull, Caitlyn Clark, and the Indiana Fever, the journey is only just beginning.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into Hollywood's hidden history.